Hey everybody, welcome to Tuesday. And Leanna got a new eyeliner that she's practicing with, hence the black. It's Tattoo Eyeliner, that's the brand. But yeah, I'm like, let's play. It is very dark. So I'm gonna try a three things video, three things in gaming this week. One is really sad. One thing that confuses the hell of me, and I'm sure I'm gonna take hate for it because it's August. And then the third thing I'm really super excited about. And I admit, I just wanted to make a video about the thing I was really super fucking excited about, but I felt bad doing that and neglecting the other stuff that came in. So I'm going to try this format. If you like it or you just appreciate ye old college try, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK. Now, the first thing I'm not going to dwell on because it's super, super sad, but I did want to call attention to it. A man has been arrested in Brazil on suspicion of the murder of Christiane Louise. You may not know her name, but she was the Portuguese voice actress for Mercy in Overwatch, Cortana in Halo, Bayonetta. You get the sort of voice she did, right? 49 years old, murdered. It's terrible. And I just wanted to call attention to that because, you know, the non-English voice actors don't have the same profile, I guess, as the English ones do, but they still do really amazing work. And, you know, when something like this happens, I think it deserves a moment to talk about, right? Awful, just terrible, should never happen. Awful. Which sort of segues in not super well, but there is a connection to harassment of voice actors for playing characters people don't like. And I got some nasty comments to yesterday's video basically saying that does not happen. Only the top tier people, showrunners, creative directors get harassed. That's not true. Laura Bailey got harassed for playing Abby. And now a voice actor on Boyfriend Dungeon has been harassed for playing a villain that people didn't like. And I'm not going to show the screen, but I am going to read the tweets because my jaw dropped. Okay, my jaw dropped. For people who don't know, Boyfriend Dungeon is this game, this indie game that's been in the news. I have absolutely zero interest in this game. Maybe I'm wrong for that. It seems very hipster indie something something. It's for a crowd that I'm just not a part of. But they recently updated their content warnings in response to backlash. I'm going to hold off on that because I have strong feelings about these content warnings, okay? But the voice actor who plays a villain in the game that is apparently like stalkery, like he's one of the bad dates, like the bad boyfriend, right? Guy says, "Hey, I can't believe I have to address this, but please don't send me hate messages about my character in Boyfriend Dungeon. I know he sucks, but I'm just his voice actor. Please be respectful. Saying it reflects poorly on me to play a character like this is so confusing. There's bad people out there. I don't support what these kinds of people are doing, saying, thinking at all. It's just acting, y'all." It was the saying it reflects poorly on me to play a character like this. That was the first part. I like, no words. Like, it's a villain. He's playing a villain. The stupid thing is, this is the same kind of people who are all like, yay, you know, Loki in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is gender fluid and, you know, Winter Soldier's gay coded. They're both murderers. You know, that's yay, victory for inclusion. But then this Boyfriend Dungeon game gets, this game may include references to unwanted advances, stalking, and other forms of emotional manipulation. Play with care. Don't believe me? I can show you this because you can't harass a screen. I'll make it nice and big. There are no words. That's all that's coming out of me right now. Here we go. There it is. This game may include references to unwanted advances, stalking, and other forms of emotional manipulation. Play with care. Again, WandaVision was a show where the main character emotionally manipulates, meaning mind controls, an entire fucking town. But yay, women. There's no standardization about what people freak the fuck out about. And somebody could say, okay, well, those are TV shows and this is a game. It's an isometric top-down cartoony thing from what I've seen of it. Again, I have no interest in this game. It's a dating sim dungeon crawler. So, okay, the fact that people have weapons, that's not a problem. Unwanted advances. I think I'm showing my age here. This is something I admit to not understanding. If the worst thing I had to deal with was unwanted advances, oh my fucking God. They're uncomfortable. I get it. But I don't think they require this big content warning. I mean, stalking, maybe. I never thought about it before. But again, we're talking about a gaming environment where gaming awards made up new awards to give to The Last of Us 2 to make it like the most awarded game in history. And in that game, among other things, you needlessly beat a black woman to death, brutally murder dogs, play as a character you're supposed to sympathize with, even though she beat a man to death with a golf club. And, I mean, let's face it, the two of them are stalking each other all over. They stalk each other across the fucking country on a revenge thing. But we need a content warning on unwanted advances and emotional manipulation? Final Fantasy VII Remake came out. Cloud is fucked in the head being taunted by Sephiroth. And we need a content warning on emotional manipulation. I just cannot square these two things. I can't. How it seems like the same people playing these games, right? Abby's awesome, even though she's a brutal murderer, because I don't know, that's what we're supposed to say. But, if we called what she did to Joel an unwanted advance with a golf club, does that make it bad? Or are we getting into, it's only a problem when men do it? Because if it's only a problem when men do it, I'm off this boat. There is no way you will persuade me that that's okay. Unwanted advances are uncomfortable. There is a big difference between somebody being awkward and it just being awkward and maybe kind of annoying, and somebody who seems menacing, right? I've been stalked by men and women, okay? It's no less scary when it's women. In fact, it's more scary because the cops are slower to act when it's women. When there was shit going on with someone male, it was instant. The cop was there talking to, it went away fairly quickly because they took it seriously. When it's a woman, it's a cat fight. No joke. That's the word they used. York Regional Police, man. Best and brightest. But yeah. So I'm just dropping that there to make it clear that I am not somebody who is, unaffected by stalking. I'm not somebody who doesn't know how goddamn scary it is and how hard it is to get rid of a stalker. It does make you fear for your safety, but it's a video game, man. Don't harass the voice actor. And we shouldn't have to say that. But I'm going to say something kind of contentious here in that if your world needs to be so bubble wrapped that you need a content warning on unwanted advances, yeah, I can see why people wouldn't recognize that harassing a voice actor because playing a villain is beneath him or reflects poorly on him. Yeah, I can see how people who want everything so bubble wrapped and coddled specifically for them couldn't separate fantasy from reality. I can really see that. And that's where my concern with stuff going on right now lies. Because everybody loves to blame the other side when something like this happens, but both extremes in gaming do it. Laura Bailey wasn't harassed by fans of The Last of Us 2. Fans of The Last of Us 1, yeah, who took it too seriously and went after somebody just for doing a voice. She didn't even do the mocap. She wasn't the one with the golf club. This is an issue. And yes, Russian trolls got involved in that one. It became a drama llama. And some of it can be dismissed as such. But the Laura Bailey harassment happened before I noticed that activity. The entire thing surrounding that game was ridiculous, but I can't square an industry that makes up awards to make The Last of Us 2 the most awarded game ever with the sheer amount of unnecessary violence in that game, which is a revenge story where one woman stalks another woman halfway across a country to do murder and then doesn't after the second fight, and beating a black woman to death and beating a bunch of dogs to death and killing a pregnant woman and her boyfriend. The boyfriend get killed? Yeah, I think so. He was a dirtbag. And then Jesse got shot in the face. And this is okay. Unwanted advances need a content warning. It's not the one thing that baffles me. It's not the gratuitous violence porn of The Last of Us 2 passed off as some sort of anti-violence message. I'm sorry, that's horseshit. It's not. The violence is the point. Feel something, player, right? It's not that. Lots of games do the feel something player with violence thing. It's not the unwanted advances content warning in Boyfriend Dungeon. It's the two exist simultaneously in these social justice style gaming spaces. We're talking about the same. I'm not even going to touch on what I was about to say, just too much of a third rail. But there is a pretty major inability to separate reality from fiction, play pretend fantasy you play on screen. And it really seems like the importance of these play pretend fantasy experiences are overshadowing the treatment of real world people, and that's just fucking disturbed. And in this case, it's sort of the social justicey types, but that's happening on both sides, right? Like that the people who are really mad about woke will go after me one week. And the goalpost always shifts, right? Like, oh, you shouldn't have taken this part, voice actor. Oh, well, you shouldn't have got involved, YouTuber. Like, there's always some excuse. There's always some excuse to not recognize that none of this is okay. None of this is okay. I repeat, none of this is okay. We cannot stick our heads in the sand anymore and insist it's just famous people making a lot of money that are getting harassed. There's just evidence to the contrary. You may claim that Laura Bailey is, a top voice actress, so somehow that's okay. I don't agree. I think that's terrible logic. Harass a real person over a fictional character you don't like. That used to happen to soap stars, okay? In the 80s and 90s, they'd get smacked by little old ladies in supermarkets. Like, come on. But there is absolutely zero justification for some voice actor who happened to voice a villain that everybody got fucking triggered by. I'm sorry, no. No, 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 no. Like, tweet the account of the publisher, okay? We shouldn't have to tell people not to attack minor voice actors or people who just happen to be fans of a game that have opinions that you don't like. We shouldn't have to tell people to leave those people alone. Unfortunately, it's so beyond we shouldn't have to tell people to leave those people alone that we're into, even when we tell people to leave those people alone, people make excuses for the utterly shitty, unnecessary behavior that they engage in. I've talked to half a dozen YouTube content creators that got bombarded with hate over something this month. And it's all fictional. It's one thing if someone did something shitty in real life as a person, but no, this is opinions on video games and cartoons and movies and so on and so forth. I mean, it's so stupid now that Zack Snyder fans review bombed The Suicide Squad, a movie that Zack Snyder is a producer on. You review bombed your boy's movie because he wasn't the director. Like, there's just not enough Zack Snyder in that Zack Snyder property. He's still making money, guys. He's still making money. It's important that Suicide Squad do well, because he makes money if you love your boy Zack Snyder. That's good if you do. His movie got assed up, the Justice League movie. I will give you that, but fuck, man. Stop this. Stop this. I don't care what your reasons are. I don't care what you think you're doing. This is insane. It's insane to have to put content warnings for unwanted advances and emotional manipulation on things. I don't know of a single game with a villain that will pass the emotional manipulation standard. Like Final Fantasy VII, Sephiroth doesn't appear anywhere but in Cloud's head, right? Like, if emotional manipulation is bad, all of WandaVision is no bueno. Like, this has gotten nuts. But, that same raw wound sensitivity is what people use to excuse freaking out at people over cartoons because a white person is now a black person or a male character is now a female character. It sounds so silly when you put it that way, right? Like when you actually drill down to the reasons, they sound equally ridiculous. And if you are getting mad and leaving a nasty comment right now, you're doing that to avoid recognizing that this is ridiculous. But this is ridiculous, and many people's need to start saying this is ridiculous and not just stick our heads in the sand and, go, well, if I'm quiet, they won't come after me. That's cowardly. No, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I will quit doing this shit before I stop saying this is ridiculous. This is really, really, really insane. I don't care what the reasons are. They're bad reasons. And, the world cannot be bubble wrapped for people. It can't. I spent a year in PTSD therapy. I have to go for periodic tune-ups. I know of what I speak. And is an updated content warning a skin off anyone's nose? No. I just think the amount of noise about it was insane and unwanted advances. Unwanted advances in emotional manipulation, that's where we're at right now. Like, play Animal Crossing. I mean, oh no, Tom Nook emotionally manipulates, there's no safe game if someone's that raw. And you know what? That's okay. Sometimes people are that raw. And I do think that there should be fun, cute games that people can play that are fairly safe. But, you can run The Sims and there's unwanted advances. And my RimWorld characters get unwanted advances all the time. And they start fighting each other. And then it's like a bad scene. Like, you can't make a game with emergent gameplay anymore. Like, this is just nuts. This is just nuts. Someone has to point out how insane this all is. And I am tired of hearing it's okay when we do it because but the other side. No, y'all look nuts. Y'all look insane from here. And the thing is, I'm telling you this. I've got dozens and dozens and dozens of people contacting me privately going, yeah, it's nuts. They don't want to stick their head up. And I don't blame them because it is nuts. But people have a choice. They can either listen to the fact that it's nuts and have that sting a bit. And, heaven forbid, bite down on a stick and have some impulse control. Learn to take a walk and calm down. Or you can keep acting nuts. Here's the problem with continuing to act nuts. You're going to get more and more and more and more and more marginalized and more ostracized because there is no real money in catering to lunatics. If people are going to complain about unwanted advances, those people will never be satisfied. And it's not, look, can you put in this content warning? Like, that fairly decent, it turned out to be a bad actor, but, one person complained about a burn description in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Ubisoft went, you know what, you're right, we're going to change it. That's cool. That's a game company listening to something and going, we see the logic there, we're going to do it. That's the gaming world I want to live in. That's the gaming community that I want to be part of. This Who yells the loudest gets heard? No, 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 no. That's a terrible fucking precedent. Why is it terrible? Because then people just yell louder and louder and louder about more and more and more insignificant shit. And that is where we're at. That is where we're at. It's insane. It's completely insane. So I'll leave that there because I'm just like, and again, I don't have an issue with content warnings. I have an issue with how upset people got to the point of harassing voice actors because a guy happened to play an unwanted advances emotional manipulation stalker. The same fandom ship characters who are mass murderers and serial killers. It's fucked up. So, that being done, something I'm very, very, very excited by. Very, very excited by. Many of you who have watched this channel for long enough and aren't just here because there was some fucking stupid Twitter controversy and you're here to hate on me. No, I am a huge, huge fan of the Alan Wake games. Like, insane fan. And it seems 10 years later, there's finally going to be a sequel. It looks like it's gone into full production. There's been no official announcement, but there was an article on Eurogamer. There is a full AAA game and a second smaller scale game in production, a 2-project publishing deal between Remedy and Epic Games. Now, I think we know right off the bat that means it's going to be a timed Epic exclusive, right? But this is cautiously exciting. One, because I really think the original Alan Wake got screwed. And I think Remedy just keeps having really shitty luck with being forced into these weird formats that Quantum Break would have been a decent video game where did they not have to do 20-minute television episodes separating the decent video game, you know? And, you know, I mean, they did well with Max Payne. Ever since then, it's been bumpy. Like Alan Wake, I really give Remedy credit for the fact that instead of making a shitty Alan Wake sequel, they did American Nightmare, which is good for what it was, but it was more like a 1.5, not a 2. And they just refused to do what Xbox wanted and make a game for less money than they thought they needed. That is so hard to do. That is so hard to make that decision, but it tells me that they just care about that character. And I admit I was not the biggest fan of Control. There were parts I really liked about it, but I found the characters bland. It did not have the same spark that Alan Wake did. But what it did do is get Alan Wake DLC, which is the only reason I played Control, in sort of a shared universe so that they could backdoor test interest and, hey, I really love Control right now, you know, because that's the purpose it served. But the reason I have hope, even though it's been like over 10 years, is that they didn't just make shit. And, you know, I've been talking lately about let's reward the developers who go out of their way, like suffer, wander in the wilderness for 10 years instead of making a sequel they're not proud of. You know, they're gonna have to deal with the fact that Alan Wake has been in the dark place for 10 years. Maybe they'll just age everybody up and that'll be the big tragedy, that everybody moves on and now this sort of old, grizzled, crazy Alan Wake comes back out. Like, I'm sure they'll have to change their original story idea, but oh, if any game deserves a belated sequel, it's this franchise. Just the fact that it was a poorly marketed game The games press were utterly brutal to it. They did not understand this game. See also Heavenly Sword. And Microsoft nickel dime them. And, Remedy, Sam Lake told them where they could shove their nickels. If it is an Alan Wake game, we could be totally wrong, but I will be cheering so damn hard when they announce this title. Oh my god, for so many reasons. One, I have played through that original game like 4 or 5 times, the whole game, and it so holds up. I love Barry. But it's also just, this is clearly a studio with principles. And this is clearly a studio, even though I don't love everything they've done, I felt like everything they've made has had a heart and a reason for existing. And I am just so glad they finally get to make the sequel they wanted to make. It can happen. Dreams can come true, right? Okay, I'll leave it there. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching.